Karl. So in celebration of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, arguably the game of the year, I'm kind of calling that already, I decided to make a bit of a Switch everyday carry, or my gaming EDC. Of course, we have the Switch itself. So funnily enough, I had the limited edition OLED that was launched just before the game, but technically the OG Switch, which I have here, is in orange, and it technically is more limited edition as no one else really has this. So obviously Nintendo does not make orange Switches. I have an affinity for orange. Everything I own is touched with this lovely color. This was custom painted by a company called Colorware, which has painted my Switch Pro controller, the headphones that we're about to check out as well. So they all kind of match orange. I think Colorware does such an awesome way in painting their tech. It looks like it's factory set. And when we get to the Switch Pro controller and of course my AirPods, all in the exact same orange, you can see how well that they've held up over time. It is such an awesome piece of way to make your own pieces of tech a bit unique. So I'll leave their links down below. Obviously the game needs no introduction, so this of course is Tears of the Kingdom. I sadly haven't played as much as I've liked since I've been so busy creating content here, but I am about to head on a trip to Taipei in around a week. That is a 14.5-hour flight, and I cannot wait to get some serious gameplay in. And talking about limited edition consoles, which I wanted to throw in this plug just because I saw it in one of my drawers the other day, this is probably my favorite limited edition handheld console. So this was the 3DS XL when Link Between Worlds came out. I loved this 3DS XL. I put in so many hours to this. Sadly, I no longer play it, obviously. And controversially, my favorite game of the Zelda franchise has to be Majora's Mask. I know people will argue, say it's Ocarina of Time. I agree, for N64, it was good. For some reason, as a kid, I just loved Majora's Mask. There's something a bit dark about it. Switching out the mask, you had a bit of a timeline, the 3 days before the moon came crashing down. I think it's just so unique in the series, and I cannot wait until Nintendo comes out with a remake. I'm not talking about a remastered version. I know this is the 3DS or the 3D version of Majora's Mask. They have that for Ocarina of Time, but like a full redo, like someone with Unreal Engine, some third-party developer, obviously licensed by Nintendo. Exactly what they did for Link's Awakening for the Switch, and P.S. that was my first game for the original Game Boy, like the see-through purple one. That was an awesome remake. It's not remastered, it's a full new game, full new graphics, and when they release that for Majora's Mask, for Ocarina of Time, I will be a very, very happy boy. And since we're talking all things Zelda related, Nick on the VCam here, he brought his. So this is of course a Switch OLED. It does look better than my OG Switch. And he has the Skyward Sword Joy-Con. So this didn't come out with a custom console, but he's kind of made it his own. And his Switch Pro controller, this is just an original with a chain shell to give it a bit of an SNES look. I think I like that. It's a bit softer, feels a bit nicer on the hands, and is just some customization thing. So that was a little timeline through our favorite Switch consoles, or I guess limited edition consoles. Let's get kind of back to the tech. So all of this stuff actually fits inside this little travel pack. So this is a Peak Design pack, and I've actually cut out the middle so it doesn't have any of those weird dividers. I just took like an X-Acto knife and just kind of trimmed down the insides, and I think it makes the perfect tech travel pouch just because you can fit so much more inside. And I think Peak Design, for whatever reason, designed this just to have a Switch fit inside, because it fits literally like perfectly. There's no better piece of tech that fits this than the Switch. So I typically just keep the Switch face down to protect the screen, and I kind of wanted to plug the little SD cards that I'm using. So Lexar obviously powers all of the stuff. We've got their SD cards for the cameras here, but this is their new Play card, and obviously Switches operate using micro SD still, so this is a 1 terabyte card. It's got 150 megabit read and write speeds, and a kind of little hack that a lot of people don't know. Obviously, Tears of the Kingdom is a brand new game. You don't have any of your old gear. You don't have any of your old hearts. I know all the shrines that we visited, but if you did play Breath of the Wild with your original SD card or micro SD card, when you start on your Tears of the Kingdom journey, you can actually go to a stable, all your old horses. So if you've unlocked Epona, the Ganondorf horse or the giant horse, all those old horses that you got in Breath of the Wild, you can access from your stable in Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, you need that that through your micro SD card, and if you have a small one, like 64, 128 gigs, you might run out of space with all the games on your Switch. So if you want something large, something that you can transfer all of your footage through, check out Lexar. They've got us hooked up for all of our memory needs. The second piece of tech that goes in here, this is a bit of a hack too. If you like kind of getting exclusive little bits from the game, if you want that fierce deity mask just like Nick has. So these are Amiibo cards. So obviously if you have Zelda Amiibo figurines, you can tap them on your Switch to unlock some special items. If you don't want to purchase all of those Amiibos, if you're trying to hunt down previous ones, which have kind of gone up now in price because they no longer sell them, check out these little Amiibo cards. Essentially what they do, they are Amiibo tap cards. So they have all of the info from an Amiibo figurine inside this little tap NFC card. So you can get all of the exclusive items by just tapping these little cards onto your Switch. And as a funny little bonus, one of the cooler drops that you can get is Link's Awakening's like little tune heads. So that was my favorite game, like I mentioned, the only remake that Nintendo has done for a game. You can get that with this little NFC tap. So there's a ton of different cards. Obviously you get a lot of armor drops, you get a lot of loot. You might have to farm through some of the stuff, but if you were to buy each of these as actual Amiibos, you would be running in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You can just hack your way, not to victory, but for exclusive content, which I think is dope. The second piece of gear inside of the pack, and I know that you can technically play the Switch fully on its own handheld, it's kind of gets a bit tiring, to be honest. I do prefer still playing my Switch with my Pro controller. I typically have my Switch docked when I'm playing at home on my TV or on a gaming monitor. I am dedicated to bringing my controller with me, even though I will have this like propped up on like my airplane seat or on that little tray, and I will just be staring at the screen as I play on my Pro controller. The controls are just nicer, the buttons are a bit larger, it just feels more comfortable, especially for a flight that's 14 and a half hours. The last thing that I want to do is just play on these tiny little buttons. So I will be bringing my Switch Pro controller, and funnily enough, when the Switch, like the OG Switch, initially came out, there was no Bluetooth support, so you had to have this hack. If you wanted to rock Bluetooth headphones, you had to sometimes buy a little dongle. I saw threads on Reddit with people connecting their AirPods to it with this little weird little device. Nintendo low-key sent out a software update, so if you're still playing on your OG Switch, you've probably downloaded it already. It came out maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. You can now just rock any pair of Bluetooth headphones. So if I switch my AirPods to pairing mode, I can see that under settings, and I can now play with the noise-canceling headphones, and I'm literally like just decked out in orange here with my orange AirPod Maxes, with my orange Switch, and with my orange Pro controller. I just feel like a total boss. Maybe a bit of a try-hard, but that's kind of my orange setup. So those three pieces of tech, sadly the headphones don't fit in this pouch, but I've tried. If I do choose to keep my Pro controller at home, my headphones can fit. I'll have to make that choice in a bit. And kind of last off, to finish this off, it's just things to keep my Switch charged, as obviously this won't run for 14 hours. So I have two little ways to do this on the go. I can either carry this little Belkin power bank. It's got 10,000 milliamps of juice. It has the cables built in. So on one side, it's got USB-C. So when this is sitting in your bag, if you've got some downtime, just juice up your Switch to get you by the day. It also has this lightning cable. So technically, you could do a hack where you were charging your AirPods. This is just gonna be really weird because the cables aren't long enough. And you could charge your Switch at the same time. You can see that charging right there, console battery 52%. And now, since this cable can't go far enough for my head, I can play the Switch, keep it charged, and hear everything through my AirPods. Do not be this person. And last but not least, when you're not trying to be that person, when you actually have access to a real charging port, just have a little USB-C charging plug. Just kind of stick that into the wall. Of course, I've got one USB-C for the Switch and one for my AirPods, and that one is in that orange braided cable, obviously to keep things all orange. This can just wrap up nicely, and that can just slot right into this pack. And like I said, everything kind of zips up. Everything is nice and secure, so it's not kind of moving around in my backpack. And then I guess I would just rock my AirPods typically over my neck. And that has been my gaming EDC. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll kind of round it off on my thoughts an initial review of Tears of the Kingdom. You can kind of tune off now if you don't want to hear it or any spoiler stuff. So I know that we've been waiting for this game for what, like 6 years? It feels like a bit of a continuation from Breath of the Wild, which is both a good and bad thing. We're still limited by the Switch's hardware. For whatever reason, we still cannot get like a smooth 60 frames in 2023. Obviously, 4K is not even in the question when you compare that to PC gaming, to any of the modern consoles like Xbox One, like PlayStation 5. It just feels really dated. Nintendo is still obviously riding on the great success of its titles because the stories are so good. Like, that's what makes Zelda, Mario, Metroid, Pokemon, all those like classic Nintendo games so good, is just the attachment to the characters, to the lore, to the story. And I can't wait till we actually see like a next gen Switch console. Like, I was really hoping for like a Switch like Pro, a Switch Plus, something just to get us updated graphics. But until then, until that remake of Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, I will keep being a Nintendo fan, and I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little episode. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!